bird ass niggas, I don't mean to ruffle y'all. I know you waiting in the wing, but I'm doing my thing. Where's the love? In the heart of
Talk to the boss man. We had problems with each other. We had never even met each other. I met the man, and he's a great guy. So I want you to make some motherfucking noise for somebody that's carrying this city on his back all across the motherfucking world. A young king. He goes by the name of Total Lanes. This is that real city shit.
I said, where's the love? Ain't no love in the heart of time. Yeah.
Yes, check it out, man. This is your boy Akon, and right now you got it locked to Worldwide Entertainment TV. Keep it locked.
Welcome back, you guys, to Worldwide Entertainment Television. I'm Nisa Hart, and I'm sitting here with a man of many hats. He does it all. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Friday Ricky Dred, aka the Bluetooth Assassin, aka Stash Cream, aka We Love Hip Hop, aka I don't know. I run out of AKAs on a constant basis, but I got more for later.
Love it. So your career actually began as an MC.
Yes.
That was the first half.
I'm still an MC.
Okay, dope.
I'm actually going to be retiring very soon, and then just taking my role as a content curator. I guess I've given myself that title, content curator, right? And yeah, I started way back in the 90s. You know what I mean? When like lyrics really mattered.
Yeah.
I grew up in Montreal, so I made that transition from Montreal to here like around 97.
97 is a hard time to cut into hip hop.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the things I actually realized is when I first moved here in 97, that was when Chaclair, Cardinal, all those guys were like really starting to bubble at that time.
Yeah.
And the Toronto scene, like the college radio scene and all those things, that was really popping. Like there was a bunch of college radio stations that were going on at the same time.
Yeah.
That's when CKLN used to be in the basement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I had like this time like just cutting through because the Toronto scene was already so created and the foundation was already so there that it was hard for people to come from like another city and be like, hey, listen to my shit or play my shit on the radio. Like, why? I got Marvel that I can play, right? Why am I gonna play you? You know what I'm saying? So I had that extra struggle to earn that respect out here, I feel like.
How did you do it?
I just keep grinding. I'm not gonna take no for an answer. Like, you know.
And interesting that Bishop just brought up is that in the 90s it looked a little bit different. You had to show up somewhere. So it was more than just, you know, retweeting a couple other MCs. So like, what did the footwork look like back then?
Well, I'm like the king of footwork because back then I was selling clothes in the streets.
Come on.
Like I used to have a duffel bag and stand up on Yonge Street and sell Tommy and Polo and Guess and all that type of stuff. So even if I wasn't intentionally doing it, I was networking because people that I'd meet through selling clothes, selling whatever else, you network, right? And you build relationships. You know how many people I've met through selling quantities of weed to rappers?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, no, like I've gotten to get into rooms with like Redman and Kid Capri and R.I.P. Guru and different people just because they smoke weed. You know what I mean? So there's so many different, and I'm not encouraging like young people, hey, go start selling weed or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless, you know, until it becomes legal. However, there's different entry points of the ways that you can network with people.
How much more valuable was studio time back then?
Holy shit.
Right?
I was paying $65 an hour
Wow.
at a place called Number 9 Studios, right by Jarvis.
That's so funny. I know that place.
You know that place?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were using ADAT tapes. So you fuck up, you gotta rewind. You know what I mean? So don't fuck up.
Okay. So now you've gone from MC. What's the first kind of branch off you did from hip hop and what kind of caused that?
I wanted to know more about the business. And that's when I moved here. I started going to a school called Harris Institute of the Arts, which is like right over here, outside the U2 building. And I started learning about management and marketing and stuff like that. And then from there, I started working on a street team.
Crazy.
I started working for a woman named Kim McKenzie, who she used to run the Warner Street team at the time.
Okay.
Worked my ass off and tried to do as much as I can at the time, to the point where she let me run the street team when she took over a different role. And then I took over and had a cross Canada street team. Made more connections,
Yeah.
right? We're doing release parties for like Mobb Deep, Corrupt, Missy album, like, you know what I mean? We're plastering poster boards all over the city. We're outside of the clubs. I'm out there with my street team, you know what I mean? And we're getting into all this stuff because we're the street team. So more connections. And I'm still rapping, you know what I'm saying? So I built so much different connections through that it was a no-brainer to even get into management, all right? I started managing various like artists in the city that didn't really get as much notoriety as, you know, I wish they would have. Even in Montreal, I started managing a girl named Black Pearl, who was a byproduct of a group called the Butter Babies, who had some notoriety back in the days, all right? So do your Googles, anybody who doesn't know who they are. But eventually I started managing a guy named Scandalous, who was part of a group named Empire, right? That group had a lot of notoriety already in the city and in the country, right? And himself, he was such a big guy in the battle rap scene, like the battle rap scene of back then, that he was also known as a solo guy, or the guy who was just killing all the battles. So I managed him, eventually started managing the whole group, more connections.
What does management look like? What should people be looking for in a manager?
Somebody who's able to take the connections that they have and get you to a further place.
A manager without connections? Possible?
A manager, you can have a manager without connections,
Okay.
but he better be able to work his ass off and go get connections.
Okay.
He needs to go out to all of the events that are going on, giving out business cards, making himself known as the person to come and do business with, right? There's a lot of people who weren't managers before they came up with the artist, and they said, I'm the guy who has a better business mind than the artist who's just an artist. And he learned how to be a manager, or she learned how to be a manager. So you don't necessarily have to have the connections, right? But you have to have the will, right?
Yeah, the work ethic.
The work ethic definitely has to be there.
So how many albums have you done?
Me personally, I've done 3 albums and 1 EP. I started putting out albums in 2012. I had a space of time.
Yeah, what's so...
I put out a bunch of mixtapes before that, a bunch of solo mixtapes. When I started doing the management with Empire, I put most of my focus in that.
That's
all right?
important anyways.
Right,
Because
'cause-
I think it's hard for artists to properly manage other people. Yeah.
That's why I don't manage now, right? Because like I take my artistry really seriously, or I over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been taking my artistry really, really, really seriously, and management would be a detriment to the person I'm managing, right? So I went away for a little while, and that kind of stopped the whole Empire movement, right? And the Empire movement was a big movement. There was different people that have gone on to different places that we've worked with. Boy Wonder,
Crazy.
40, Tone Masons.
Nuts.
All of these guys
Everybody
have,
you're naming are like tops.
yeah,
Okay.
they're all people who worked on that monumental album that came out called the Get It album that I executive produced, right?
Another Google.
All right, do your Googles. Empire, 5th Letter Fam, Get It. You're gonna find a bunch of stuff.
There's so much Toronto hip hop that's being like forgotten or not spoken about.
Oh, the people who know Toronto hip hop know that that's a certified classic in this, and their album before The Table of Nonsense is also a classic, which was pretty much almost completely produced by 40 and another guy named Arithmetic and a few different guys, but that was like part of his inception into the scene also, right? But yeah, that whole thing ended, like let's say 2000, end of 2009, 2010, when I got into some trouble with the law, had to go away for a little while. When I came home, that's when I started getting more serious about my solo stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I produced my first album, all right?
So what's your sound? What are you concerned about? Like, who does your music speak to?
It speaks to the streets. Like I come from my own experience. Like I speak about my experience, right? My music is very autobiographical, all right? So the people who I found that it's been relating to is a lot of people, like when I was going through court, there was a lot of people who I bumped into who I knew about my music, and I'm like, wow, this is my demographic, great. But at the same time, great, because I'm speaking that shit that they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? And they're relating to the struggles that I'm going through, because they might be going through some of the same struggles, right? Like I have street music, and some of it may come off as ignorant. I say bitch, I say nigga a billion times in my rhymes, but there's medicine in the candy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, once I started focusing more, like once I came home and like was like, okay, I want to do this music thing for real. Then I also retired, and then unretired. Okay.
So what made you want to retire the first time? Just like
the lack of traction.
Yeah, that can be really like.
I'm like, I've been doing this shit for years.
Or like just feel like.
Yeah, I dropped an album. I don't know what I was expecting, because the climate was already changing in the industry. Yeah. Right.
What year were you looking at? You're saying
2012. Right. I dropped an album called Born to Win. Via my record label AWOL Records, and distribution by Urbnet Records, Fontana North. It did all right. I didn't see any money off of it. I spent a lot of money on it, right? Like music costs money, right? To like produce, like get producers, get your shit mixed, mastered, all that stuff, do the videos to support the project, artwork, all those things all cost money. Like you can go into thousands. You should be going into thousands to make an album. If not, don't put it out. I don't want to hear it. It's because it's going to sound like a tin can. And, you know, it's going to be, I don't want to buy a tin can off of iTunes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Why do you think it fell short?
Partially, I feel that I rap way better now. But it didn't fall short, because a year later, I started noticing online a lot of different outlets that had this album or cuts from the album all over it. And I was like, holy shit, I'm pages deep in Google. Yeah. Right? Off of this album. Like, there was bootlegs of the album. Yeah. So I was like, okay, it's different now. Oh, we don't see the immediate money, because I'm from the mixtape. On the street, sell your mixtapes, get that money right away. Like, I made physical copies. I'm like, hey, why aren't they flying? Well, not why aren't they flying?
Judged differently.
Exactly. Right? So now I realized, but then I dropped the second one that was a free album. Yeah. It was an official album, distributed through Urbnet, but I wanted them to just put it out for free. Yes. All right? And then check the climate through that. Yeah. And I called that my retirement album. Yeah. And then people started bugging me, why aren't you rapping no more? You're not doing any more music? What, are you crazy? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Ain't nobody want to hear shit from me? No, yeah, we do. Yeah. Right? One guy in particular started getting me really hyped up, a guy named Sebastian, or SGRP, Studio Gigant Red Eye Productions. And we did a whole EP together. All right? I was just like, fuck it, I'll do it.
So what are you looking at right now? So you're saying you're in retirement, you're doing one more album, and then that's your retirement album?
No. That was in my retirement. Yes. I retired, and then this guy got me out of retirement with this EP. Yes. And then that's when I came out with a third album. Okay. When I dropped my third album, which was last year, it was called Nocturnal. Yes. I put a lot of energy into that album. I got a different production from different people. Big Tweez, SGRP, the same guy. He's on a track too. I got production from a guy called Kids Are Right from Germany. And Big Pops, different people, and just was really well mixed, a sonic, and I started getting a voice. Yeah. My cadence changed, and I started getting a different reception from my raps, period, and my music. And I started getting traction, right? I hired a publicist. Dope. They started showing me different things that I wasn't doing, right? And now I don't have a publicist, and I can be a publicist, right?
Important.
So
I need to drop off some tips after. But yeah, okay, cool.
Right, so
what's your status right now? Retired? Not retired?
About to retire.
About to retire.
Right?
One more project or?
2 more projects. So I put out one after Nocturnal called Shift. So now I'm looking forward to another EP. Okay. I was gonna continue making music, but now I'm starting to do a podcast.
nigga Ricochet, L Kicks, we in the building. Worldwide Entertainment TV.com with us.
Worldwide TV, man. Big up yourself, man. Straight from the original Don Dada. Yeah.
Go visit WorldWideEntertainmentTV.com for exclusive interviews from around the world, along with coverage of worldwide entertainment events. Stay tuned.
Go to WorldWideEntertainmentTV.com. Stay updated by staying tuned.
Yo, this is your boy Kevin, and right now we here on WWETV, Worldwide Entertainment TV. You done know.
Welcome to Worldwide Entertainment TV, and I am your host, Miss Goldie.
What's up, everybody? I'm Miera Jennings.
My name is Eamon.
And you're watching Worldwide Entertainment TV.
Bust it! Right about now, you're with Stormin, and you're watching WWETV. Don't go nowhere. Keep it here and bust it.
What's going on, Worldwide Entertainment? I'm Nisa Hut.
Email WWETV@WorldWideEntertainmentTV.com for placements, advertising, and more.
Stay tuned to WorldWideEntertainmentTV.com and YouTube channel.